It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag Fluff-a-torium. 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 Show.
Good morning. Are we all here? Are we all present? Hats off to Betty Boo just now for performing for 2 minutes without moving. And we'd done a trial run and she was amazing. And she's still wearing her 2-minute silence card, but she's managed to accommodate it on her blanket. So all is well. Welcome to my next live tutorial. Felt angels for the tree. I was going to try and set up a Christmas tree and it was all too much. We were clearing out the rest of the stuff from our old shop yesterday and I just ran out of time. So apologies. So you're going to have to imagine her on a Christmas tree. Obviously it would look amazing. So these angels are 3D. So they can sit on the top of the tree. Okay. Likewise, it just makes them stand up, so they could sit on a mantelpiece or on a table. Really, really fun thing to make. Great to make with the kids as well, and great as a sort of a thing that you get out every year. I'm going to show you how to do it. Before I start, though, it's Remembrance Sunday, as you know, so I am wearing my felt poppy. Ta-da! Did do a tutorial for this a few weeks ago. I think from memory, was that the last one we did at the old place? Oh,
no idea whatsoever. Can I just say,
yes.
Not that they know,
No.
but Instagram's not working at the moment.
Oh.
Soz.
Why is that? Because of your restreaming thingammy?
I think Instagram doesn't like me today.
All right, should we wait for it to come back?
No, carry on.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to sort it
Okay,
out. Just
he's
give us a
trying to sort it
minute.
out.
Just don't be
I'll
too
go
demanding
slow.
whilst I'm
No,
trying
sorry.
to do
Okay, I
things.
won't speak to you anymore. Won't speak to you anymore. Well, welcome if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube. Anyway, all right. So moving swiftly on. So I'm going to show you how to make this kit. Now, this is the actual kit itself. Okay, so I'm going to show you what you get inside this. You could do your own thing if you don't want to do the design on the front, or you could get the kit and you could get some other colours of wool as well if you want to make a slightly different one. Let me just grab this one as well because it's behind my head anyway. So as you can see, there's lots of different options, like the world's your oyster as far as dresses and hair and makeup are concerned, which is kind of the fun bit in my humble opinion. But I'm just going to show you. Oh, we're back up. Welcome if you weren't on you didn't see us on Instagram. We're back apparently. So going to show you how to make Divine Delilah the felt angel Christmas tree topper. Okay, so let me just show you first of all what you get in the kit. I forgot to look up and see how much it is. I think it's £24.95. Oops. Someone will tell me, I'm sure. So I'm just going to go through what's inside the packet. So let's just tip it out and I can show you everything. So let's get rid of that. What you get, obviously, is a set of instructions, which are always handy, aren't they? Even if you don't read them like me. You get your black plastic template, very important. That's what we're going to work around. For those of you that have never done wet felting before, and particularly never done something that's 3D, we're going to be wrapping wool tops, this stuff, around this template. We're going to be rubbing it with soapy water and soap, okay, through a piece of netting. Okay, and then we're going to be rolling it in a bamboo mat, which will harden it, shrink it, turn it into that fabric. And then this is going to come out. So if you imagine that the template is kind of in the middle there, these are the layers around it. At the end, you cut the bottom open, you take the template out, and you're left with what was around it. That's the basic premise, in case you're thinking, how's she going to get this from that? Okay, so that's the template. That's very important. You do get the bamboo mat in this kit as well, and the netting. So there's literally everything you need except soap and water, elbow grease, a little bit of maybe some scissors and a sewing needle. That's all you're going to need. Maybe a bit of glue if you need glue. Okay, then you get Angelina fibre. So this is the glittery fibre strands that are going to go in her wings. Okay, so when you finish, you should just be able to see just a little bit of sparkle. Then this is the best bit. This is the hair. Okay, and this is the curly wool look. So they've got lots and lots of little curly bits, a bit like my hair, but sort of on a much smaller scale, obviously, and white. Okay, so that's the curly hair. Then in this kit you do get the little bit of red tinsely stuff to tie up her bunches if you want to do bunches, but you can do any hairstyle, and that's quite fun, I must say. And then you get the pom-pom trim to put around her collar here on her dress, so that's fun. You get all of the wool tops to needle felt her makeup and her face, and then you get a little felting needle to do that with, okay? And then you get obviously you get the wool for the actual angel as well. And that's all here sitting in a big pile. So I'm just going to move that off to the side, and I'm going to start by showing you the way that you would pull the wool tops apart and how you would basically get going with this. So the first thing that you need to do is to make yourself up some basic felting solution. So this is really straightforward. It's nothing complicated. It's basically just a squirt of washing up liquid, or what do you call it in America again? I can't remember. Anyway.
Detergent.
Detergent. Oh my God. That'll teach you to talk in a New York accent so that I can't understand what you're saying. Detergent. Detergent. Okay. Let's not go there. All right, so a squirt of detergent or washing up liquid, fill up with lukewarm water. Okay, so that's your basic felting solution. Then you're going to need a bar of soap as well, okay? And then that's it, you're good, you're ready to go. I'm actually going to work on one of my big bamboo mats that I've got here, but obviously you've got the little one in there that you could work on. So the first thing to do, lay your template out in front of you. Then you're going to take your large length of white wool tops, okay, and that's going to form the first layer of your angel, okay. So basically the angel is 2 layers thick, all right. So if we look up her skirt for a second. I say. If you look up her skirt, sounds like Carry On film. I say, matron. You'll see it's all white inside, okay. So the inside of the angel is white, that's the first layer, and then we're going to do the outside layer with the pink dress, more white for the wings, pale pink for the face. All right, so just explaining how that works. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to learn how to pull the wool apart. If you've never done this before, very important. Oh no, we've got a funny comment, haven't we?
No.
Is it someone telling me to wear a bigger necklace?
No.
Okay. If you've never done this before, pay attention, listen carefully, because this is really important. And if you don't do this bit right, it all goes horribly wrong. If you've done loads before and you've heard me say this loads of times, just enjoy, you know, I'll be as quick as I can. All right, so holding about 6 inches down with the hand you don't write with the hand you do write with, you're just taking the very ends of the wool and pulling them gently to release them so that you get a wispy amount of wool. Can you see how wispy that is? All right. Very important. Don't pull off great big clumps like this. Let me show you the difference. Look against my top there so you can see the light and the dark. This is what we want, not this. Otherwise it makes for very lumpy, bumpy felt, very difficult to felt it together. If you do it like this, it makes it much, much easier, much faster, much quicker, much more successful. And that is what we want, success. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this horizontally over my angel shape. If you could now cut to the overhead camera, please, Christopher. Fabulous. Oh, it's a bit shiny. Oh, sorry about that. We'll quickly cover it up with wool, look. All right, so I'm just releasing the wool as I go, okay, nice and quickly. And I'm just going to completely cover up the whole of the template, but very, very important that you have this overlap going around the outside, because it's the overlap that's going to form your seam as you bend it round to the other side. All right, so let's just completely cover this. Now, people always say to me, how much is enough? Well, it's until you can no longer see what's underneath. So you don't need a great big mound of it in front of you. You just need enough to completely cover up the template so you can no longer see the black of it against the bamboo underneath, and it's all hidden. Okay, so I'm just going to do this in slow motion again. Okay, so we're holding it far enough down so that we're not holding on to the fibres. Okay, holding it down here, and then we're releasing the wool. All right, and we're trying to release the full width of it all in one go, and we're laying it down with overlap going around the edge. Now, I am doing this super fast just because we're up against it time-wise when we do these live tutorials. And obviously also, if you're dipping in and out, you don't want to sit here while I laboriously, very slowly lay it all out inch by inch with great perfection. I'm just trying to show you quickly what to do and what not to do, indeed. Right, so there we go. So we've got the bulk of that covered now. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking my soapy water, okay, and my bar of soap. But before I do that, I'm going to take my piece of netting. Again, the netting comes with the kit. I was using this bit yesterday, so I'm just going to carry on using the same bit that I was using. Choke. A quick choke, and then I'm going to put the netting over the top of what I've just done. Okay, back to the overhead, please, Chris. So you could spray it down. Very laborious if you've got a spray bottle. I would suggest in this instance just taking the top off it, stick your finger in the end, or if you've got like a squirty bottle or an old milk carton, or it doesn't matter what it is, but you need to get enough of that down now, okay, that water, so that it completely wets all of the fibres through. All right, let's just pop that on so I don't accidentally knock it over. The next thing you're going to need is some sort of dishcloth. Okay, like a J-cloth or a dishcloth of some sort. And you're going to push the soapy water through the fibres. You can see these black bits here is just where it's got really sodden and really wet. I'm just going to push the water around a little bit so that it evens out and it's not all sitting in the same place. There's the head at the top, the head of the angel, and the wings. You may need a little bit more water if it's not all completely flat as a pancake. So what we're aiming for here is that it's all of the air is out of it. Okay, so if you've still got a few puffy bits like down here, then you might need to just put a bit more on. Okay, and then just get those all completely flat. So you need to get it all wet, including the overlap around the edge, all completely wet through. Airless, okay, completely flat. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the bar of soap and I'm just going to rub this across the top like so, just to make it even more soapy, okay. And then what we're going to do is just make sure we've got these suds. Can everyone see the suds? Hopefully you can. You should have enough suds so that you can write your name in them. Okay, and then we're just going to rub this just for a minute or two. You don't want to go too crazy here. Don't rub this for too long, because if you do, you will over felt it too quickly and you won't then be able to attach the subsequent outside layer to it, okay? So it's important that you are able to join the layers together. Therefore, we just rub this just for a short time, okay? And then it's just kind of getting it on its way, okay? It's not making it completely felted yet. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very carefully peel back the netting, okay, can you see? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over. So far you've only done one side of the inside of the angel. So it's almost like you've done this bit and now we need to do this top bit, okay, because it's two-sided. So if you imagine her squashed down, okay, we've only done one side so far. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to very, very carefully turn this over like so. And then the very first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold in these edges. Now you'll see here and here and here and here are pinch points where it's quite difficult to fold the wool in. So sometimes I do just give it a little cut with a pair of scissors, not right up to the corner edge, but nearly, okay? And that just makes it a little bit easier to fold it all in, because you want to keep the folding in as tight to the shape of the template as you possibly can, okay? Let's get the bottom in, let's get this side in first, and I'm just going to show you how I would then do the wings, okay? Because the wings have got lovely scallops on them, so if possible, you want to try and keep the shape of those like this when it's finished, okay? And I'll show you a way to shape those with the felting needle at the end, but important to try and keep the shape here as tight as you can, okay? Don't worry about little bits poking out. Don't worry about it not being perfect. Don't worry about not having hospital corners when you folded it in. Just try not to get too much bulk in any one place. So keep it as neat as you can, but without getting too OCD about it, okay? So there's a little bit poking out there. We won't worry about that, because basically what we're going to do now is we're going to put another layer over the top. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a tea towel. I'm just going to dry my hands so they're not too wet, okay? And then I'm going to take more of the wool, okay? I'm going to keep going in exactly the same way all over again, okay? And I'm going to carry on going until I've done this all over again. And then, if you just come back to me, Chris, I'm not going to bore you with me doing that all over again. I'm going to move on to one I prepared earlier, where I've already done that side, rubbed it again, okay, then I've turned it over again, and I've started to lay out the second layer of the dress, okay. So I'm just going to pull the one forward that I was doing yesterday when I was preparing this. Here she is. Right, if you can go to the overhead, that'd be brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so here she is. Am I in the right place for Insta? Yes. So as you can see, we've got the white layer underneath here, the second side of the white layer. Now this is my third side. So this is the first side of the outside of the angel. So obviously, here we are, okay? So the face, we've got the pink, the wings, we've got the white, the dress, we've got the pink. The only difference this time is that I'm laying the fibres out going vertically, not horizontally. So the first layer was that way. The second layer is this way, and the reason for that is to achieve an overall shrinkage, okay? What I'm going to show you now is just how to finish off this, how to do a spot with the wool tops. I'm going to show you how to trap in the Angelina fibre, and then I'm going to talk about how you would then deal with the back. Okay, so firstly the spots, okay, so you've got the wool for the spots in with the kit, but when you're doing any kind of design like this or any kind of spot or design that's not very big, you want to make sure that you don't use too much wool, okay? So I'm just using a very, very small amount. If I hold it over the white, hopefully you can see, very small amount. I am just teasing it out a little bit so it's nice and fluffy, excuse me, wispy. And then I'm just going to bring it round like so. So it's kind of, it's still got a little bit of transparency to it. You can still see through it. It's not a tight spot, all right? So what not to do would be to take too much wool and to turn it into a great big chunky, great big thing like that, okay? This is a no, this is a yes. Can you see the difference? Hopefully you can. All right, so we're going to stick with that. I'm just going to put that on her dress there. I might just do one more. Just one more for luck. So just a tiny bit of the wool, okay? And then I'm just teasing it round like so. And I'm just going to pop one down there. Okay, now with the wings, I've laid out the white. Now I've got the Angelina fibre there. Let me just find the rest of it that I have strewn. Where have I strewn it? I've lost it. It's gone walkies. Here it is. Okay, so you don't need to use very much of this. And in fact, we give you way more than you would need to do the wings, okay? You really only need the tiniest bit. And you put that on top of the white, okay? So you've already laid out the white for the wings. You put this on top. You could even put a little bit in her face if you wanted to, okay? And then put that to one side. That's it. That's all you need until you get to the back. You might want to put some on the back as well. But what I want to show you is how you have to trap this in place. So whereas before we were pulling off the wool tops like this, what we're going to do now is we're going to pull off a real cobwebby amount like this. Can you see? Hardly any. And that's going to go over the top of that Angelina glitter fibre, okay? Because basically that's going to trap it in. The fibre, the glitter fibre is made of plastic, all right? So what we're doing is we're creating a sandwich with the fibres in the middle. So you just need a tiny bit of that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing over the other side here, okay? And then I'm just going to use a tiny bit of the pink that we've used for the face over the top of that one there, okay? And then we're ready to go really with this side of the angel. So what we would then do is we'll then do exactly the same as before. The net goes over the top, and then we're going to wet it down again. But the difference this time, oh, let's just pour it on as before. The difference this time is that we're going to be rubbing this for much longer this time, because this time you need to get it all completely felted and fixed together properly, all right? Actually, do you know what? I am just going to put that back in there because I just know what I'm like. I'm quite clumsy, so I might just knock the whole thing over. Right, so then I'm going to take this. I'm just going to push all of that soapy water once again through the fibres, okay, like so. I can see that one of my little spots is kind of just coming off the edge here, but I quite like that. I might just go with that actually and bring it round to the other side, so that's nice. Now I will just show you a little top tip. When you first wet something down, do make the whole thing completely wet down, including the overlappy bits. Obviously I've already done this just for speed and to show you so I can fit more in this morning, okay? I'm going to put a tiny bit more water on there just to make sure that the overlaps wet down as well. And actually, because I did this yesterday afternoon, it's probably just dried out a little bit overnight. Well, I'm sure it has dried out quite a lot actually. But what I want to show you is once it's wet and once it's really soapy, we just put the bar of soap over the top again, okay? You can then peel the net back and adjust things if you need to. Now, you probably won't need to adjust very much, to be honest. The only thing I was thinking I might adjust is just one of these little polka dots. Oh, it's just about staying on the edge there. But you might just want to make these a little bit neater. I just tend to just get any of the stray hairs and just put them into place so that it just is a bit tighter. Like that, okay, and then we're ready to go. So then you're ready to rub this, okay? You would rub this, probably for about 15-20 minutes, I would say, and you would make sure that you've got this lovely lather, okay? So I'm just going to put a little bit more of the soapy water on there, and then a little bit more of the soap, and I just want to show you, this is the lather you want, this. Okay, so you need to be able to write your name in it. You don't want it so wet that you've got puddles around here. It should be wet enough so that it's all soapy, stuck down, almost gluey, all right? And that you've got this lather where you can write your name. Any questions so far, Chris? Oh, he's checking his screens. He's checking his screen. No, okay. All right, so I'm not going to bore you with that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully turn the whole thing over and show you how to finish the back. All right, so we turn the whole thing over. Okay, and if you can, you try and do a slightly bigger overlap on that side so that when you do come to bring all this in, that you haven't got too much to finish off in the centre, because what we're going to be doing now is we're just going to be adding the finishing amount of wool to finish off the centre. There's no more overlap required because she's finished after this bit, if you like. I'm just going to see if I can do this without making any cuts, because I'd prefer not to cut it now on this final side. It's not such a big deal making little snips here when you're doing the inner layer, but when you're doing the outer layer, I'd prefer to just try and leave the wool as best I can. And again, you just need to try and make these scallops stand out a bit. If you get a little crease like this at the bottom, just tease it out with your fingers. Just get it nice and wispy, wrap it round to the other side so that you don't get like a hard line forming, all right? And then I'm just going to get as much of this in and over as I can, like so, and just try and amalgamate it all together, but be conscious of keeping these scallops, all right, in place. If you've got loads and loads and loads that seems extraneous to requirements, you could pull some of this off. Again, I would urge you not to cut it, but just get it all over as neatly as you can. Then I'm bringing her pink over for her head, like so. And this at the back of her head will get covered up by the mohair, the curly locks for her hair. So don't get too worried about what's going on at the back here. Now, you are literally just going to finish off the back with some more wool. So I'll just very quickly, I'll show you what I mean, just drying my hands. So we're just going to put a tiny bit more pink, first of all, just at the top here, like so. Remember, this wool is going vertically, but also remember, you don't want any hanging over the edge. You're just finishing it off, okay? Then I'm just going to take a bit more pink and I'm just going to show you how I would finish off her dress. So again, no overlap, just keeping it within the confines of this middle area. Nice and wispy though, so still pulling the wool off in the same way, keeping it nice and wispy. I haven't done a great job there, I haven't gone quite done enough overlap. So I'm just doing the back of her dress. Now on my angel, I just made something up for the back. I made some little pleats up on the back of her dress, so you could do a little design or whatever. And then we are just going to put a tiny bit more of the white. So if you wanted to do some more Angelina here, we could put a bit more there, we could put a bit more there. So just a tiny bit, that's all that's required. And then I would probably do the white on top like so. There's plenty of wool on her wings at the back because it all came over from the front. So that's kind of the back really. And then obviously you would get that rubbed for another 20 minutes or so. So you would get that all wet down. And you would use your cloth to then push the water, get it nice and flat and wet, make sure there's loads of soap on it, and then you would get rubbing with that for about another 20 minutes. Okay, back to me on the camera, please, Christopher. That is correct, that is me. Oh,
I've got a question.
You've got a question.
Well,
Go ahead,
I haven't
caller.
got a question. Ali Bellini.
Oh yes,
Ali
hello Ali
Bellini.
Bellini.
Abellini on Facebook. No.
Excuse me while I blow
Instagram.
my nose, I do apologise.
Oh, nobody wants to see that.
Ooh, I'm sure it's fine. Go on, carry on.
She's asking why you can't cut
Oh,
when
well,
you're trimming.
on the outside.
Good question, well put.
I wouldn't cut it on the outside. I mean, generally speaking, I don't ever like to cut the wool because it gives you this really sharp line that can then form like a flap that doesn't attach to all the rest of it properly. So I would never normally advise anyone to cut the wool tops when they're making it. What happens, you see, when you pull the wool tops apart like this, without cutting it, you get this lovely tapered, finished end to the wool that you've been using that kind of interleaves and just bonds together with other wool around it. Whereas if you actually were to cut it like this, you'd be getting this really sharp line that potentially might not attach to the wool around it. So whilst I think it's fine to just do that on the inside of the angel, don't do it on the outside, would be my top advice if you want to take it. On your head be it if you don't. All right, so moving swiftly on because I haven't got much time. That then gets rubbed for half an hour, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Basically, you need to rub it until the fibres no longer move around, okay? People always say, how do I know when it's done? You know when it's done by, first of all, putting the clock on and making sure that that's all you do for 15 minutes. You're not chatting to a friend, tickling it lightly. Proper rubbing for 20 minutes, okay? Covering all areas. If you've done that for 20 minutes, then you can peel the net back, rub your hand briskly across it. Briskly, you need to be able to do it briskly, and make sure that it's all fixed. Okay, now if it hasn't fixed, it will wobble around. just quickly cut to the overhead for me, Chris? It will wobble around a bit like it's wobbling around here, obviously, because I've not rubbed it. Okay, but when it is rubbed sufficiently, I know this is a finished one, but when it is rubbed sufficiently, you would be able to rub across it and it not move. Okay, that's the key difference. It will feel bonded. It will feel together. It will feel like it's not going to fall apart if you put it under the tap, because that's what you're going to do next. All right, so moving swiftly on. Once it's rubbed on the front for 20 minutes, once it's rubbed on the back for 20 minutes, then remove the net. Get your hands nice and soapy. So squirt, soap, get the soap. And then you're going to basically work around it. Sorry, this is not going to, let me just turn this over. You're going to work around the edges, all right? Let me just use this one. So I know it's literally falling apart because I've only just put all the wool on the back, but you're going to work around the edges like this, okay? And you're just going to make sure that the edges are all really, really, really well felted with the soap, okay? And then I want you to make sure that you've also just kept the little scallops underneath the wings as best you can, all right? Once you feel like it's robust and it's together and it feels like a fabric and it doesn't feel like it might fall apart, okay, it doesn't feel too fragile. If it's feeling fragile and you're worried, you need to rub longer, okay? If it's really moving around, you've got to keep the net over it. So only do it without the net once it's really well rubbed. I think I've made that point enough now. Then you're going to go to the sink, you're going to rinse it in lukewarm water, get as much of the soap out of it as you can, and then you're going to come back, and I'm just going to quickly show you the rolling process, okay? You're going to come back. What I tend to do is I tend to put a towel or a tea towel, let me just use this tea towel actually, underneath my rolling mat, okay? So obviously you're working on a table or some sort of surface, presumably. Maybe it's got an oilcloth, tablecloth on it or whatever, but presumably it's fairly waterproof. So put your tea towel or your tea towel on top of that, put your mat on top of that, and then you've got your rinsed out angel on top. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start rolling. I'm just going to show you how to do this once so you know what I mean by do 20 rolls in each direction, okay? So you're going to roll it up really, really tightly. So make sure it's really tightly. Don't roll it up sloppily. And then rolling it backwards and forwards 20 times. Plenty of pressure, so I'm pressing plenty of pressure on the mat. And basically it's these slats from the bamboo are going to push against the felt inside and they harden and shrink it, okay? So that when you open it up, and this is very interesting, when you open it up, it starts to shrink in the direction you're rolling it in. Therefore, we keep turning it. So I'm going to turn it 90 degrees clockwise, okay? Then I would roll it up, again, really tightly. So don't roll it up loosely like this, okay? We're rolling it up really, really, really tightly. And don't worry if it buckles. Really, really tightly, okay? And a few more round, and then another 20 backwards and forwards, okay? And then I just say that you would then do that way, 20 backwards and forwards. You would then do this way, 20 backwards and forwards. You're back to the beginning, and then you would do the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly the same, okay? Then once you've done that, you're then going to take it to the sink and do a really hot rinse, okay? Then you're going to do another roll. Then, very excitingly, you then snip the bottom open, you take out the template, and you're left with what was around it. It's at this point that you can then, once you've taken the template out, make a scalloped edge. So you can basically then cut the bottom of your angel's dress if you want to, you don't have to. I love a scallop. Anyone that knows me well knows I love a scallop. She loves a scallop. I do love a scallop. To eat as well, all sorts of scallops. So I do, you can see from the wall behind me, there we go. I do tend to do that. So yes, that's the point at which you would cut the scallop. Then you get a bit of soap and water on your fingers and you just felt the edge that you've just cut so it doesn't go all fluffy, all right? Final rinse, get all that soap out and then repeat the rolling again. Then your angel is done. Okay, so then we can move on to the next bit, which is basically the really fun bit, because this is when you can give her sort of a character, a hairstyle and makeup. Okay, her dress is kind of set, but you could add some embellishments to it. And of course, on this one in the kit, there's some green wool to do a little bit of a kind of I don't know, an underdress maybe or something. And then you also get the trimming to add on this angel kit, okay? But if you wanted to, you could then add some other needle felted details here. So I'm going to show you how to do the needle felting next. What I suggest you do, you don't have to wait for it to dry, but it's nice to wait for it to dry. Stuff it with a bit of something or other. I mean, I've used wool tops. What could you use? An old sock? I don't know, something that, well, a clean sock. Why did you say
Well, the old sock connotation.
Oh, okay. A clean old sock. Or if you've got any of the wool tops left over that you didn't use or something like that anyway, because you need to sort of give yourself some purchase when you're needle felting into her head, poor thing. Right, so what I've done here is I have got an angel who is hairless and has only got one eye at the moment, so that I can show you how to do this. She's not exactly the same as Delilah, but hopefully, poetic license, hopefully you can just work with me on this. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the hair. So you get this wonderful bundle of gorgeousness, which, I mean, it's pretty sheepy. It's still got loads of bits in it and stuff. Okay, so it's great to work with though. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your felting needle that you've been given in your kits, okay? Is that the right one? Which is a 38 gauge star felting needle, perfect for this. Now it's up to you how you do it. I tend to work along the hairline first, so I'm sort of giving myself some kind of idea of what sort of hairstyle I want her to have. I don't know, you might want to give her pigtails like we have in this kit here.
A mullet?
Or a mullet, or this one I've just sort of gone for a bit of, you know, a bit of, like mine really, a bit of sort of a manic hairdo with hair going everywhere in all the different directions. Or I've got one here that's sort of just got a bit of an updo at the back. She's got shorter hair. Why are you laughing? You're laughing at my angels. Oh, this one's smoking an e-cigarette probably. No, yes, I shouldn't say that word. Anyway, that's the fallen angel. Let's put her back over there. Naughty angel, naughty. But yes, really good fun doing the hair. So basically, just decide what you want to do here. Do you want to go to the overhead shot so I can just explain? So get your hair in place. Let's start at the front. And obviously, because I've stuffed the head full of some wool, this is now attaching beautifully in place, and I like to get all the little bits with the curly bits just in like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to attach it in like that and like so, and then I'm just going to keep going down here. So obviously the more you add, the better in my opinion, but do keep the lovely curly bits for some features. There we go, sort of like that. You can see how quickly it works. Just quickly add a bit down this side as well, like so. There, she's looking very pretty, much better with a bit of hair. Okay, now I'm just going to show you how to do the face because it's a little bit more fiddly. So you've got, why are you laughing now?
Well, you've just left the needle stuck
in her eye, sorry. So you just need a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of black here, okay? And I'm just going to start working in the other eye to show you how that's done. So I'm just doing these sort of crescent shapes for the eyes, okay, but obviously you could do whatever sorts of eyes you really want to. And I just wanted to show you this one who's got some glasses on and some rather fetching lipstick. Okay, so obviously you can just do whatever you like here. I'm just going to show you though, when you're needle felting, I know that you've probably watched me do this a million times, but do hold it about halfway down. Make sure that the end of it doesn't go anywhere near your fingers because it's very, very painful if you stab yourself. And then you are doing gentle stabbing. It's not violent. You are gently stabbing the needle, but only where you want the wool to remain. And you can see how that's just disappeared in. So we're just going to add a tiny bit more onto the other side as well because I felt like it wasn't quite as dark for some reason on this side. So let's just do that. And then obviously if you wanted to give her a little bit of eyeshadow, you can. So you would, let's just get that bit in first. You could add her some eyelashes. You could give her a tiny, tiny bit of eyeshadow, which I think I did. Oh, here we go. This one's got great eyeshadow. I think Betty's trying to get her cardboard sign off. There's the noise in the background. So here's the eyeshadow, which looks rather splendid. Look, bit of eyeshadow. And then I always like to give them a little heart-shaped mouth because I just think that's so cute. But obviously you could do whatever shape mouth you want. So if we're just, oh, that's not me, that's the dog, that funny noise, sorry. So just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of wool for the mouth. I've just squidged a little bit of red and a little bit of pink together there. So I've just, make the 3 points there, dip it down in the middle. Need a little bit more, so I'm just going to get a tiny bit more. You can pull the wool apart in your fingers like this just to get it a little bit shorter so it's a bit easier to deal with, okay? So I'm just going to always keep in mind, in your mind's eye almost, what shape you want it to be and only stab where you want it to end up, okay? Obviously you want the middle bit like so, and like so. So we just keep going like that. And there you can see roughly how that works. How are we doing for time? So I'm just going to add a little tiny bit more just around the edge here and here and around the top there. Right, so Christopher, while I'm doing this, do we have any questions so far about how to make felt angels?
Well, like some professional news anchor, Kerry Zupp has cut to the quick with questions.
Oh, right, yes.
She wants to know what happens if the angel gets soap in their eyes.
Angels from the realms of glory don't seem to be affected by soap in the eye. Oh, incidentally, I did look up what the collective noun was for angels, and it's a choir of angels. So that's nice to know, isn't it? That does make me want to break into a round of Gloria in Excelsis Deo.
Go on.
No, I'm not going to do that.
On.
No. You know that really high bit, that bit. But
That hurt.
sorry, was your microphone not set up for Gloria in Excelsis
My head
Deo?
wasn't ready for it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, a choir of angels. So that's a nice thing to know, isn't it? I feel like I'm making her mouth too big now. But anyway, any more questions about how you actually go about making the angel? Or are we all happy that we understand and we know what we're doing? I do have a different angel kit as well, which I'll show you in just a second, which is slightly different. So the one I showed you was called Divine Delilah. And the other one I have is called Hallelujah Hattie. So we do sell both of these. And I'll show you the difference between the two in a sec. Look, there's a bit of sheep falling out of that one.
I have questions.
Okay, yep, go ahead, fire away. Let's carry on doing a bit more hair.
Gina Harper on Facebook says, would it work with single layer for finer wings?
Yeah, what you mean if you want to see through the wings? Yes, potentially. I mean, you just need to make sure you've used enough wool to hold the whole thing together. If you've made felt before and you know what you're doing, then yes. If you've never made felt before and it's the first time you're doing it, just make sure you use enough. Would be my only comment.
What about that cobweb felt?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So cobweb felting is how you would do that. But what I'm saying is it's just a bit harder to achieve, to know how much you need to use. So if you've never done it before, make sure you use enough, was all I meant.
Emma Bayard on Facebook. Do you stuff the head?
Yes, that's what I just did. So like I was saying, when you first take the template out, okay, then you're left with obviously this hollow inside. So I do just push some wool tops in to the head. Or like I was saying, when we had that unfortunate conversation about old socks, you could use something like an old sock as well if you don't have any spare wool tops. Or you could use polyester toy stuffing or any other sort of wool or other sort of toy stuffing. But it's great to stuff the head. And then obviously, if you come back to me, Chris, please. Thank you very much indeed. But then obviously you don't want to stuff this bit necessarily if you're going to put it on top of the Christmas tree. But this one I have stuffed the whole thing because if you do want her to stand up more efficiently, you might want to stuff the whole thing so she can stand up a bit better, okay? So where's Delilah gone? She's hidden under a mound of stuff. So there we are. So that's pretty much it. Now, just a quick description of how you do the halo. You get a separate piece of white in the kit, you wet it down, okay, as a length of wool, and then you put it into the mat and you roll it to make like almost the same as a bag handle or a long sausage, thin sausagey shape, okay. And then once that's well felted, you rinse all of the soap out of it, and then you basically cut the length that you need. It says it all in the instructions, and you just pin it round, sew it up, and then you just sew it to the back of her head. Okay, so we have one length of that going that way, and then another length as a loop on top. So that's her little halo, if you want to make the halo over the top as well, which is pretty cute. And then obviously if you've done a lot of hair and you want to use the bunches, we've got the red tinsel that comes with the kit, and you would just tie up her bunches. I love doing these bits. I actually love doing the hair and the face. It's so cute. Can't see what I've done. Yeah, that looks right. There we go. Little bunch. Cute. Okay, any more questions? Christopher, please. I hope some of you are going to... Who's going to make one? Tell us. Are you going to make one? Are you going to make one? Please send me pictures if you make one, because get excited about things like that, sadly. So you've got various bits of wool in the kit. So you've got the bit of wool to do this bit round her neck. I think I've mentioned this already, Groundhog Day. And then you've got that bit that goes around there that you just sew on, and then you do the hair and the makeup, and then she's done, and she's just... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and finish the one that I've started to make, and then I'll do sealed bids, private bids, for charity, and sell it after I've finished it, if I get round to finishing it. Okay, any more for any more? Have you checked all of your screens?
I've checked all my screens and there are no further questions currently.
That's fine. Okay, brilliant. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, guys, or indeed if you're watching this later, thank you for watching. My next tutorial that I'm going to do next Sunday, I'm trying to keep going with these during our new lockdown here in the UK, is going to be for making a felt stocking. So again, we do have a kit for this called Rocking My Stocking, but I'll be showing you how to do it using the template and the wet felting method, and then the baubles. So you can make one if you've got some wool tops and you've got some black plastic. I will be using the bamboo mat and net as well, and the soapy water and the soap. Okay. All right, so I will look forward to seeing you next Sunday. In the meanwhile, please everyone stay well and, stay safe. And yeah, that's it really. And see you online. See you on Instagram. Stories and stuff. Okay. Cheery, bye.
It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag Fluff-a-torium. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag Fluff-a-torium. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag Fluff-a-torium. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag. It's Gilliangladrag.